Turkey, we love it. Sweet potatoes, they're great. Cranberry sauce, awesome. But do you know what I'm waiting for on Thanksgiving? It's the pumpkin pie. Today, I'm gonna show you how to make a classic pumpkin pie with a vanilla pie crust. We're gonna start by making our pie crust. And we are gonna add some salt to our flour and make sure that is nice and blended. We can just use a fork. Our butter is super cold, it's actually sticking together. So now we're gonna take our pastry cutter and rock it to break up the butter into the flour. This is something that you can find at any kitchen store, but if you don't have one of these, don't worry about it. We can take 2 knives and do the same sort of action, and we're making little tiny pea-sized portions. The cold butter between the layers of the flour will melt and puff up, and that's what makes a really flaky crust. So it's really important that the butter is nice and cold while you work with it. So now we are going to add the McCormick vanilla extract. Now, you may have seen a pie crust hack where people put vodka in their pie crust to make it extra flaky. By adding vanilla extract, which contains actually just a little bit of alcohol, you're sort of doing the same thing, except we're also adding flavor. And now we're gonna add our water 1 tablespoon at a time. You want it to just come together in a ball, but you don't want it to be too wet. So we're gonna mix it slowly here. Really pay attention. We're gonna add another tablespoon here. So this is my 2nd tablespoon. When you're making pie crust at different times of the year, you might need different amounts of water, and that's due to the humidity. So when you're working in a really dry room, you're probably gonna have to add a little bit more liquid to really hydrate the flour. That's why we say 2 to 4. And let's see, I'm gonna test it by smushing it together with my fingers and seeing if it comes together. Once it looks like this, we are going to take a sheet of plastic. And then we're going to dump this on, and we're gonna form it into a ball. Here's where we can use the heat of our hands just for a second to help us out. So we're gonna wrap that up in a nice little tight disc. And that is it. So we are going to put this in the fridge for 30 minutes and we're all set. All right, so now we have got our chilled pie crust. Now there's lots of different ways that you can roll out pie crust, but my favorite way is to do it between 2 sheets of parchment paper so that you don't have to get flour everywhere. So I have a sheet of parchment paper down, and then I'm gonna put my crust on top, and then we're gonna stick another sheet of parchment right on top. Now it's cold, so we're gonna press it a little bit. This is where you can really use some elbow grease, and then we can roll it. And the way that I like to do it to keep it circular is I roll from the center outwards. And we are gonna roll it till it's all the way 1/8 of an inch thick. All right, so here we have got our finished rolled out pie crust. So how I'm gonna put this in the plate is just flip the plate over so that I know it's centered, like that. Slide my hand underneath, 1, 2, 3, flip. That's it. And then we're going to just gently press that down into our pie plate. So now that our crust is in here, we are just going to trim it slightly. This is a little bit long here, so we're gonna just snip it. So now we're gonna crimp our pie crust. The way I'm going to do it today is flute it with my fingers. So I am going to fold that like that. And then you're gonna come to the edge that you started with. How pretty is that? It looks just like Instagram. Am I allowed to say that? It is totally photo worthy. So we're gonna set this in the fridge so that it stays nice and cold while we put together our filling. All right, now it's time to make our pie filling. This could not come together any easier. So we're just gonna put a can of pumpkin, and then we've got our sweetened condensed milk, and we don't have to add any sugar because this is already sweet. We're gonna add that. We are adding some eggs. Now we're gonna add our McCormick vanilla extract. We're gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla. All right, now it's time for the good stuff. So we're gonna add the McCormick pumpkin pie spice. Now they have been blending since the 1930s. They were making this pumpkin pie spice in Baltimore, and when they were blending the spice, the whole city would smell like these familiar flavors of cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, allspice. Absolutely incredible. And we're gonna blend this up. Just has to be well incorporated, that's all. And now this is ready to be poured into our pie crust. All right, so here we have got our perfect pie crust, and we're going to pour in. Whoa, so good. This really is one of my favorite desserts. I always save room at Thanksgiving dinner for a big slice of pumpkin pie. So we're gonna put this in the oven, and it's at 425 right now. We're gonna put it in for 15 minutes. Then after those 15 minutes, we're gonna reduce the heat and bake it for another 40 minutes until the filling is completely set. So our pie is ready to come out of the oven now. And it smells absolutely incredible. You've got the warm aroma of all those pumpkin pie spices really filling up the kitchen. It's amazing. So we have to let this cool, otherwise the filling is gonna be running. So we're gonna have to be patient, eat our turkey dinner, and then we're gonna have dessert. Our pumpkin pie has cooled and we're ready to cut into it. Slice, slice, slice. So now we have got our beautiful finished slice of pumpkin pie. And I'm gonna top it off with fresh whipped cream and dig in. I hope you saved room for dessert. Yeah, it's so good. This pie crust is super flaky. That vanilla really comes through. And now we have got our amazing McCormick pumpkin pie spice filling. It's smooth, it's creamy. It's my favorite Thanksgiving dessert. Check out this episode, plus all the other episodes in the Flavor Maker app. There's all sorts of great features. You can create a digital spice rack, discover amazing recipes, create shopping lists, and find tons of inspiration. Check it out in the App Store or at flavormakerapp.com.